Here comes Clark. How will she go for history? There it is!
Kate Martin didn't enter the WNBA quietly. She entered as the player who knew exactly how to win when everything was on the line. But somewhere between Iowa's Final Four runs and the pro level, something shifted. Minutes disappeared. The impact faded. And the same player Caitlin Clark once trusted in chaos was suddenly watching from the sidelines. So how does a key piece of a championship caliber run become invisible overnight? And more importantly, what happens when she refuses to stay that way? Before Vegas, there was Iowa. To understand what Vegas took from Kate Martin, you have to understand what Iowa gave her. Because what happened at Carver Hawkeye Arena between 2020 and 2024 was not just a college basketball program getting good, it was a cultural event. And Kate was not standing on the sidelines of it, she was holding it together from the inside. When Caitlin Clark arrived at Iowa as a freshman, Kate was already there, already grinding.
Anna Stuelke posting up, but you know who they go to. 22 from the outside.
Already doing the thankless work that holds a roster together. And Kate will tell you herself, she was not exactly rolling out the welcome mat at first. She had heard about this high school phenom averaging 40 points a game, and her initial reaction was pure competitor skepticism. Oh, this girl thinks she is going to come in here and rule the world. That was the thought. And then Caitlin showed up for preseason and started doing things Kate had never seen another player do. The range was absurd. The vision was supernatural. The confidence was unshakable. Kate watched it happen and made a decision that would define both of their careers. She did not fight it, she fueled it. That is the part most people miss when they talk about Iowa's rise. Yes, Caitlin was the supernova. The logo threes, the viral moments, the record-breaking scoring nights.
Bound Fever. Caitlin pulls top of the key. Good! And she falls down to her left.
That was all Caitlin. But supernovas need structure around them, or they burn the whole thing down. Kate was the structure. She was the connector who made the offense flow. The defender who took the toughest matchup so Caitlin could save energy for the possessions that mattered most. The leader who could look Caitlin in the eyes during a timeout and say, "Deep breath, it is going to be okay," and actually be believed because she had earned that trust through years of showing up, working out together, and building a relationship that went far beyond the court. Kate called it relationship equity. You cannot just walk up to a generational talent and tell her to calm down if you have not put in the work to earn that voice. Kate earned it every single day, in the gym, before anyone else. In film sessions when the rest of the team had checked out, in conversations about life and pressure and identity that had nothing to do with basketball but had everything to do with why Caitlin trusted her when the stakes were highest. And you could see it on the floor. During those Final Four runs in 2023 and 2024, Caitlin was going nuclear on national television, but Kate was putting up 13.1 points and nearly 7 rebounds a game. That is not a sidekick stat line.
Martin putting it on the deck, spinning inside and finishing. Kate Martin wants this.
That is a second engine. She was crashing the glass on every Caitlin miss because she knew the shooting rhythm that well. She was setting screens so physical they cleared entire driving lanes. She was making the defensive reads that kept Iowa in games when Caitlin was resting or in foul trouble. They were not just teammates, they were a system. And that system nearly won a national championship. Go back and watch that Final Four game against South Carolina in 2024. The one where Iowa dismantled an undefeated team that everyone assumed was untouchable. Kate has called it the best moment of her career, and when you watch the tape, you understand why. She was everywhere, boxing out players 4 inches taller than her, cutting off passing lanes, hitting shots in transition when South Carolina's defense was scrambling to recover from another Caitlin explosion. That game was not won by one player. It was won by a partnership, and that partnership was about to get tested in a way neither of them saw coming. Not a player problem. When the Las Vegas Aces drafted Kate Martin, it looked like the kind of situation that could work.
The Las Vegas Aces select Kate Martin, University of Iowa.
A championship caliber team, a winning culture, veteran leadership everywhere you looked, On paper, Kate was walking into an environment where she could learn from the best and carve out a role doing exactly what she did at Iowa. The dirty work that makes talented rosters actually function. On paper, it made sense. Off paper, it was a disaster. The Aces were not built to develop rookies. They were built to win now. A'ja Wilson was the center of gravity, one of the most dominant forces in the history of the league, and every system, every rotation, every minute of game planning revolved around maximizing her impact. Chelsea Gray controlled the offense with a veteran's precision. Becky Hammon coached with a hierarchy that was set in stone before the season even started. There was no flexibility in that machine. No room for a young player to experiment, make mistakes, and grow through the ugly process that turns college talent into professional production. Kate found that out fast. In May, she was averaging around 20 minutes a game, which is respectable for a rookie learning the pro speed. She was finding her spots, contributing here and there, doing the things that had always made her valuable. But as the season wore on, those minutes did not grow. They shrank. By September, she was down to 11.5 minutes a night. Her scoring dropped to 2.6 points.
Defense from Kate Martin. Can she score?
Down to 2 to shoot. A 3 just...
Her rebounding fell to 1.6. And when you watch the tape from that stretch, you can see it happening in real time. The hesitation creeping in, the energy dimming, the body language of a player who is starting to wonder whether the court is even hers anymore. And then the playoffs arrived, and whatever thread was left got cut. 6 playoff games, 3 total minutes, 3 minutes across an entire postseason. That is not a development plan. That is not a rotation decision. That is an organization telling you, without saying a word, that you are not part of the future. You are furniture. You are a body filling a roster spot until something better comes along. Kate has been graceful about it publicly. She called it a business, said there were too many good players, and kept her frustration behind closed doors. But think about what that experience actually felt like from the inside. Every game she sat there with a towel on her lap, watching veterans get every meaningful possession, every crucial minute, every chance to prove themselves, while she proved nothing because she was never given the opportunity to prove anything. Every practice where she ran scout team reps instead of building her own game was another day her confidence took a hit it did not deserve. The player who had been the emotional backbone of a Final Four team was being treated like she barely existed. And the worst part was, it had nothing to do with her ability. It had everything to do with where she landed. Sue Bird has talked about this exact problem. The jump from college to the WNBA is brutal, not just because the game is faster and more physical, but because where you land determines everything. You can have the talent, the toughness, and the basketball IQ, but if you end up in a system that has no space for you, none of it gets room to breathe. Kate herself said it plainly. Scoring in the WNBA is so much harder than people realize. She talked about the physicality, the length, the speed, the intelligence of veteran defenders who have been playing professionally for a decade. She said she had never been more impressed by basketball than she was now, that the game is simple, but that does not make it easy. She was not making excuses. She was describing a reality that hit her like a wall every single day in a building that never once helped her climb over it. Kate Martin did not fail in Las Vegas. Las Vegas failed her.
Here's Martin, and she gets the 3, much to the...
And she was right on the edge of letting that failure define her when everything changed. The phone call that changed everything. At her lowest point in Las Vegas, Kate Martin did what she had always done when things got cloudy. She called the person she trusted most. She called Caitlin Clark. This was not a casual check-in. This was not two friends catching up about life and laughing about old times. This was a lifeline. Kate was buried. She was doubting herself. She was starting to internalize the idea that maybe the WNBA was just too much, that maybe the player she had been at Iowa was a college version of herself that did not translate to the professional level. That kind of thinking is poison for an athlete, and it was spreading. Caitlin was dealing with her own adjustment in Indiana. The fever had thrown her into the deep end from day one, and the pressure of being the most watched rookie in league history came with a weight that most people cannot imagine. Every game was a national broadcast. Every bad shooting night was a headline. Every physical foul was a debate that consumed social media for days. Caitlin knew what it felt like to be overwhelmed by a professional environment that does not care how good you were in college.
First, this one.
Caitlin Clark!
But the moment Kate told her what was happening in Vegas, Caitlin cut straight through the noise. She did not offer sympathy, she offered clarity. She told Kate what nobody in that Aces organization seemed willing to say out loud. You are not the problem. The situation is the problem. Caitlin reminded her of what they had built in Iowa, the trust, chemistry. The way Kate's presence made everything around her tougher and smarter and harder to beat. She reminded Kate that the qualities that made her elite in college, the leadership, the toughness, the basketball IQ, the relentless hustle, those things do not stop being valuable just because one team does not know how to use them. And then Caitlin told her something that shifted the entire frame. Stop trying to survive in a place that does not see you. Go find the place that does. That was the moment. Not a grand revelation. Not a dramatic speech. Just one friend telling another friend the truth when the truth was exactly what she needed to hear. Kate has said that after that conversation, leaving Vegas stopped feeling like failure. It started feeling like freedom. And when the Golden State Valkyries selected her in the expansion draft weeks later,
Kate Martin from the Las Vegas Aces, now a Golden State Valkyrie, and joins us now live. First of all, congratulations, Kate.
Kate was not devastated about being unprotected by the Aces. She was relieved. She was excited. She described it in one word: opportunity. From rejected to respected. If Las Vegas was the wrong environment at the wrong time, Golden State was the opposite. The Valkyries were not an established machine with a locked rotation and a veteran hierarchy that left no room for newcomers. They were blank pages, a brand new franchise building its identity from scratch, and they needed exactly the kind of player Kate Martin is. The difference was obvious from the first day. In Vegas, Kate walked into a team that already knew what it was and did not need her to help define it. In Golden State, she walked into a team that wanted her voice, her leadership, and her presence as part of the foundation.
On the court. Kmart coming up with a block.
Head coach Natalie Nakase had studied Kate's game closely, not just from the limited Vegas minutes, but from the Iowa tape where Kate's impact was undeniable. Nakase was building a culture around effort, communication, and basketball intelligence. She was not looking for stars who needed the ball every possession. She was looking for players who made everyone around them better. Kate Martin was the definition of that player. And the fans showed up. Season tickets sold out immediately. Chase Center was rocking from opening night. Kate described it with genuine awe in her voice. The fans stayed the entire game even when the Valkyries were losing. They cheered from the first minute to the last. For a player who had spent the previous season watching games from the end of a bench in a half-empty arena during blowouts, that energy was transformative. She was seeing Valkyries gear all over the Bay Area. People recognized her. People cared. She was not invisible anymore. On the court, the fit was immediate. Kate's role with the Valkyries was not glamorous, and she did not need it to be. Rebound hard, defend with purpose, make the extra pass, hit the open three. Set the screen that springs a teammate free.
Want to compete for that third championship.
Absolutely. And
Kate Martin getting in the block party.
Do the things that do not make highlight reels, but absolutely win basketball games. It was the same job description she had at Iowa, except now she was doing it in a system that actually valued those contributions instead of treating them like background noise. The expansion draft situation could have been crushing. Being left unprotected by the Aces was, in the language of professional sports, a rejection. Kate acknowledged that herself. She said it is hard not to feel like they did not want you. But she also said something that revealed exactly how far she had come from that dark stretch on the Vegas bench. She said everybody on this team has that same energy, that same hunger to build something together, and it has been phenomenal. She was not dwelling on the team that threw her away. She was locked in on the team that chose her. Kate talked about the international players on the roster bringing a different kind of spark. High IQ, fast-paced, eager to push the ball and shoot threes.
Stokey had 2 fouls in that first half. Martin and 1.
She said their experience, despite being young, ran deep because many of them had been playing professional basketball overseas for years. That kind of diversity in background and style excited her. It felt like a team being built the right way, through complementary pieces and shared purpose, not through star power alone. She said it reminded her of what Iowa felt like in the early days before the wins piled up, when the foundation was just a group of players who genuinely wanted to make each other better. That is the difference between a player who lets rejection define them and a player who lets it fuel them. And Kate Martin chose fuel. Kate Martin's second life. Here is what makes Kate Martin's story different from every other redemption arc in professional sports. She did not come back because a coach suddenly decided to give her a shot. She did not come back because an injury to someone ahead of her opened up minutes. She came back because one person, one friend, one former teammate picked up the phone and told her the truth when nobody else would. Caitlin Clark did not save Kate's career with a highlight pass or a perfectly timed assist. She saved it with honesty. She reminded Kate of who she is, not a bench player, not a depth piece, not someone who exists to fill a roster spot and stay quiet. Kate Martin is a leader, a culture setter, a player whose impact shows up in wins, not in box scores. Iowa knew that. Golden State knows that. And now finally, Kate knows it again too. The bond between those two has always been the part of the Iowa story that does not get enough credit. Everyone remembers Caitlin's scoring records and the viral moments and the national championship game heartbreak. But the reason Iowa got to those stages was not just Caitlin's brilliance. It was the partnership. It was the trust between a generational scorer who needed someone to keep her grounded and a relentless glue player who needed someone to believe in her when the world was only watching the highlights. They made each other better in ways that go beyond basketball. And that phone call, the one that happened at Kate's lowest moment, proved that the connection did not end when the college jerseys came off. What Caitlin gave Kate in that conversation was not advice. It was permission. Permission to stop blaming herself. Permission to stop shrinking to fit a system that was never designed for her. Permission to bet on herself the way she had always bet on her teammates. And Kate took that permission and ran with it straight to the Bay Area, where a brand new franchise was waiting for someone with exactly her DNA. The Valkyries are not just another team for Kate Martin. They are proof that the qualities the basketball world sometimes overlooks, the hustle, the toughness, the communication, the willingness to do the dirty work, are exactly the qualities that build winning cultures from the ground up. Las Vegas already had its culture. It did not need Kate. Golden State is building its culture. And Kate is the kind of player you build it around, not because she scores 30 a night, but because she makes every single person around her better every single night. So when you see Kate Martin in that Valkyries jersey, don't just see a roster change. See the years it took to get here. The system that overlooked her, the silence she had to fight through, and the moment everything could have ended until it didn't. Because careers like this don't move in straight lines. They bend under pressure, they disappear, and sometimes they come back sharper than before. The question now isn't whether Kate Martin belongs. It's what happens when a player who was never supposed to reappear starts demanding something bigger than a role. And in a league built on opportunity and timing, how long before the next shift changes everything again?